Hi, everybody. We're going to do this particular podcast is going to be on lexical chains and what are they and why are they important. There's two reasons why they're important. We need them to be able to analyze text and understand text, and we also need them for writing text. I'm going to come back to this to explain to you exactly why they're important in both those categories, but first we need to understand what exactly are they. Yeah, so a lexical chain is a group of nouns or words such as synonyms, antonyms, subclasses, meronyms, and whole relationship words that create a strand in a text. They are there to create a cohesive structure within a text. It can be across sentences, across a paragraph, or across a whole text. So we're going to have a look at an example so you can see exactly what they are. So this is an extract from Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream speech. It's just one small section. He uses a lot of lexical chains in his speech, which are quite extraordinary. Is an amazing writer, amazing speaker. And if we have a look at just this one simple section, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so we have here, he says, in a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a cheque. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of colour are concerned. And then it goes on from there. But what are the lexical chains? So let's have a look here. We have in this first line, in a sense we've come to our nation's, gone too far. In a sense we've come to our nation's capital to cash a cheque. So just here at the end, capital, or that's the capital for the capital city, but it also has a connotation of a monetary term, monetary word there as well. We have cash a cheque. So cash is a monetary word, cheque is a monetary word. Obviously that's the American spelling, not the Australian spelling, but it's the same thing. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note. Promissory note just here is, again, a monetary term. A promissory note is a promise to pay. So this is a lexical chain that goes with to cash a cheque. And then he goes on, signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. An heir is someone who is going to inherit. An inheritance has a monetary value. So again, we have another word that's part of this lexical chain, cash a cheque, promissory note, and heir. This note was a promise. So again, this note, so we're replicating that here, this repetition of the two words, and again, creating that lexical chain. This note was a promise that all, and promise is like promise, sorry. So again, part of the chain. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed. Guarantee is again a monetary term and part of that promise. So again, part of that lexical chain would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted. Defaulted is, again, a monetary word. To default on a loan is to not pay the loan. So it's obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note, and there it is again, promissory note, so again, part of that lexical chain, insofar as her citizens of colour are concerned. So you can see there, we have these words, cash a cheque, promissory note, fall heir, note, promise, guaranteed, defaulted, promissory note. Again, they all form this lexical chain that gives cohesion to the structure of the piece, and it makes the argument itself more cohesive because it keeps us on track as to what it is that we're talking about. So you could argue, again, you could also argue that this is an extended metaphor, which it is, but it's created through that lexical chain. So the question is, why is all of this important again? So let's go back to it. So firstly, it's important when we're analysing a text to look for the lexical chains because, one, you may not know what a word means. And when you look at the lexical chain and find it within a chain, the chain itself is going to give you context to the meaning of the word, which is going to give you a greater understanding of what it could possibly mean. That's the very first thing. And thinking about paper one, when you're looking at an unseen text, you're possibly going to come across words that you don't know. And looking at the lexical chain is going to help you. The next thing is going to help us find the main idea of the argument. The metaphors, motifs, lexical chains, all of those things are there to help us find meaning and to shape meaning. So we would go back and we would look at what is the main idea here? The main idea is that the forefathers of America made a promise of equality and they have failed to deliver on that. Then it also helps us understand motifs. So here we have the lexical chain of merchant trade or monetary chain coming through it, which gives us an idea that we've got this motif that's starting to flow through. And if you read the whole speech, you will find that lexical chain goes across the whole of the speech. It's very powerful writing. Okay, so that helps us with analysing. So if you're sitting in paper one, looking at your unseen text, look for those lexical chains. Write about the lexical chains because they're there to add meaning to something. So you can then talk about how it's a motif or it's an extended metaphor or it is just simply lexical chain of word choice to give cohesion to the structure of what's been argued in the text. That then brings us to your own writing. How do you then go about it? As you know, part of the marking criteria is writing a cohesive piece. So that means you need to get lexical chains into your writing. So firstly, you need to get it into your critical responses. When you get it into your critical responses, you're going to have cohesion in your arguments. You're going to have a linking across sentences and through the text itself. It's going to keep you on track with the question. Use words from the question and find the synonyms and the antonyms and the subgroups and the word relationships and find all of them and use them in your critical writing because it's going to keep you on track with the question and it's going to create a cohesive piece of writing. And the other thing is you should be using it in your creative writing. If you use it in your creative writing, you're automatically going to get in those extended metaphors and motifs into your writing, which is going to lift your writing. You can see how powerful, just looking at, that's not even the whole paragraph, that's just half a paragraph of the I Have a Dream speech. And you can see the cohesion that's there with this lexical chain, which becomes an extended metaphor. So if you can get that into your creative writing, you are going to lift your writing considerably. So thinking of what you have to do for discovery, if think of all the words that you could link to something that is hidden, because, you know, to discover something, it's first got to be hidden from you to be able to find it. So come up with as many words as you can for hidden and as many words as you can as for discovery and see how you can work the two lots of words into your writing so that we have that contrast between hidden and discovered without actually using the words hidden and discovered or discovery, and see what it does with your writing. Anyway, that's a very short look at what are lexical chains and why they are important. I really hope that you use them in your own writing, and if you can, use them for analysis of a text as well.